In this video, we will give you a Magaya Explorer overview. We will show you a tree view introduction, explanation of each folder, introduction to document and list view, and lastly, introduction to toolbars and commands. The Magaya Cargo Explorer is the front end of all Magaya products. From here, you can access all the information in your database. It is designed to be user-friendly with a Windows Explorer look-alike interface. When you install one of the Magaya software systems, you will have a shortcut to the Magaya Explorer on your desktop. Simply double-click on the icon to initiate the program. If this is your first time accessing the program, a wizard will launch to assist you in setting up the basic required information, including the administrator password and your Magaya network ID and password. Simply follow the on-screen instructions on the wizard until you have completed all the steps required. We will show you later on how to set up your employee usernames and passwords so they appear in this drop-down list. One important thing to know is you will have the ability to restrict access to certain parts of the program, including those sensitive accounting areas. For this presentation, I will be logging in as the administrator to have full access to the system. The Magaya Explorer has two main screens, a tree view on the left panel and a list view on the right panel. What you see on the right panel is a detailed view of what you have selected on the left panel. The main functions or transactions in the Magaya Explorer are shown as main folders in the left panel in order to access them easily, although you can also access these with the menus across the top of the screen. The following are the folders that we will use in the program. Please be aware that in some systems you may have more icons or less icons. For example, in the supply chain solution, you will have a jobs entry, and in the warehouse management solution, you will have fewer folders. We will cover the additional folders in separate videos specialized in those areas. However, it is important to know this overview is intended to give you the basic foundation needed to use any one of our solutions. The Magaya Network folder is the first folder in all the Magaya products. The first entry is the Magaya community. This community won the IT Leadership Award in 2005 and allows you to publish information about your company to other Magaya users and find new business partners or be found. This is covered in detail in our video called Magaya Network Community. The next entry is the Messages folder. Here, all system-to-system messages are stored. System-to-system messages are used when you're sending or receiving information such as shipments or consolidations to your agents using the Magaya network. If you're not familiar with how this works, it is covered in our video called Sending and Receiving Shipments to Agents with Magaya. This is a unique feature only available in the Magaya family of products. In the Messages folder, you will also receive messages from orders received online, from our Shipping Instructions plugin, Online Bookings plugin, Online Sales Order plugin, or U.S. Customs messages for ISF and AMS, as well as messages from steamship lines if you're using our Ocean Carriers interface powered by Intra. Let's continue on the next folder in Magaya. The Task folder contains two entries, the Pending Task and the History Task subfolders. Tasks are reminders that you can use in Magaya to replace reminders you would typically use in Outlook. These tasks can be associated directly to transactions and can also be assigned to users within your organization. This gives you a central place to keep, monitor, and use reminders. This function is covered in detail in our video titled Using Tasks in Magaya. The quotation folder is used to create and edit all quotations in your system. By clicking the plus sign next to quotations, you will expand the quotation folder. Here, there are two entries, Quotation and Quotation List. In either one, you can manage your quotations and create or edit pre-existing ones. However, in the quotations entry, you can view one transaction at a time, and the transactions are grouped in a queue of documents. The queue of documents is an approach which groups the capability and list of documents so you can view them and move over them in actual format. Documents in the queue are presented in actual format as your customer would see them. To see the next one, you would simply select the Next button and the next transaction is displayed in actual format. Let's take a moment now and explain the toolbar in the Document View window. To navigate through the transaction, you can select Next to move to the next one, Previous to move to the previous one, or First to take you to your first transaction, or Last to take you to the last transaction. Next, you have the Add button. This is used to create new transactions. By selecting it, a new transaction dialog box appears for you to enter in all the required information for a new quotation. The next icon is the Edit button. If you select this, the dialog box appears with all the information from the current quotation you are viewing. From here, you can edit any information, and once you select OK, the information is replaced, changed, or added to the document you are currently viewing. The Delete button is used if you would like to delete the current transaction. One important note here is that the delete function can be restricted. If you would like certain employees not to have access to this function, it can be disabled and the icon will then appear gray and inaccessible. Another important thing to mention here is if you do choose to give someone the ability to use the delete button, Magaya has an exclusive feature called the transaction log. This log allows you to view all the transactions in the system that have been created, edited, or deleted. This fantastic tool allows company executives to track changes and recover deleted items if needed. We will cover how to use the transaction log in detail in our video called Using the Transaction Log. The next icon is the Find button. By selecting this, you can find a transaction quickly by the transaction number. The next button is the Filter button. If you select the filter icon directly, the standard filter dialog box appears. From here, you can select the information you would like the document view to filter, and those items will appear once you select OK in a new queue. To remove the filter, select the Unfilter button. If you select the arrow next to the Filter button, you can select the Standard Filter button we previously displayed or the Advanced Filter. Once you select the Advanced Filter button, the Advanced Filter dialog box appears. From here, you can create a very customized filter to meet your needs. Let's assume that we want to filter all the quotations and we only want to display the ones that are open for our client, Crystal Gross, that were created in the last 90 days, going to Nassau, and that were created by employees Gabriel or Jose. First, we select the date, and then on or after, we select the date. Next, we select the contact name and select equals or contains and enter in the customer name. Next, we select the status and enter in open. Lastly, we select the employee and we will select OR. Once that condition is created, we then add the criteria we would like the system to use. Once we have finished this, we select OK and the filter is applied. As you can see, with this advanced filter, you can create any customized filter you would like to use. The next button is the Actions button. By default, if we select the Actions button, the History dialog box is displayed. This will display the history for that transaction. Magaya keeps track of the transaction and what transactions it is related to. For example, if the quotation was converted to a warehouse receipt, it will be displayed here. You can then select the warehouse receipt and continue to follow the history like an audit trail. This is a great feature since once you have the information entered in Magaya at any given transaction, you can simply convert it along the way to another transaction without having to rekey all the information. For example, if we issued this quotation for our customer and the customer then tells us he accepts it, we can convert this quotation to whatever transaction is next. For example, the cargo can be converted to a booking, and from there it can continue to be converted to the next step in the logistics process. That could be a pickup order, warehouse receipt, or a shipment. If the cargo is being picked up, we can then convert it to a pickup order, and then from a pickup order it can continue to be converted to the next step required, which can be a warehouse receipt if the cargo arrives to our warehouse, or to a shipment. As you can see, you can convert this to whatever the next step your logistics process is, such as a warehouse receipt or shipment. We will cover each one of these steps in detail in the next videos in the overview. Another option in the Actions button is the Select Template button. From here, you can select the template you would like to use for this transaction. In Magaya, you can have different templates to meet your needs. You can even design your own templates with our proprietary document designer. We cover how to use that tool in the video titled Using the Document Designer. With the designer, you can move fields, add your logo, or completely redesign a document to meet your needs. Once you select a template, you can also tell the system to use that template as the default or to use it only for this transaction. The next two buttons are the page icons. If the current quotation is more than one page in length, these buttons will illuminate so you can move to the next page. Lastly is the Options button. If you select this, you will get several options you can set for quotations. For example, if you're printing on a pre-printed form, then you can select the Print Fields Only checkbox. By doing so, only the data will be printed. This option is not common for many forms, as Magaya prints them as you see them in actual format with all the document lines. This feature, however, is more common for printing pre-printed forms such as invoices, bills of lading, or area bills. The next entry in the quotation folder is the quotation list. Instead of viewing each transaction individually, here you can view a list of all transactions like a dashboard. With the list view, each user using the system can customize the list to view it however they like. For example, you can move columns around by dragging and dropping them. You can expand columns. You can organize by an individual column by clicking on the header. The arrow will show you if it is organized ascending or descending. You can select the date range above you would like to see in the list view. In the list view, you can also print a list of the transactions like this. Or you can also email the list like this. At the bottom is the toolbar for the list view. From here, you have similar functions available in the document view and a few more. The Add button, Edit button, Delete, Filter, and Unfilter button work the same way as we described in the document view. The Actions button has a few more features that are not available in the document view. For example, the Reports option. This allows you to build reports with predefined templates that also allow you to add information or customize them to meet your needs. Our unique reporting tool is covered in a separate video called Creating Reports in Magaya. The Go To Document button will take you to the document view of the selected transaction. For example, if I highlight one in the list, I can select Go to Document. As you can see, I am taken to the document. To return to where I was, I can simply select the Back button in the Explorer. An important tip is you can also access the Actions button by right-clicking on the list view like this. The next option is the Print Batch option. If you select this, you can print all the transactions that are displayed in the list view. This option is especially helpful when printing invoices. You can filter by a date range and print all the invoices in one batch, or for checks issued by your company. The next option is the Choose Columns option. From here, a dialog box appears that shows you all the columns you can display or not display. From here, you can place a check mark next to the ones you would like to be visible. You can also move the order they are displayed by dragging and dropping them, or by selecting one and then selecting Move Up or Move Down. If you select the Default button, all options will be set to the original configuration. If you select the Visible button, it serves the same function as placing the check mark next to the column. The Word Wrap option can be enabled by column. This allows the text to wrap or move to the next line in a report should it not fit in the column. The last option is the maximum width you would like for the column, and underneath that is the alignment. For example, if you want one of the columns to appear on the right or left, you can select that and the change will be made accordingly. If I choose to align the number to the right, as you can see, the number will appear to the right. The last two options in the Actions toolbar is the Import or Export button. This can be used if you would like to import or export information in the list view. For example, if I select the Export option, I can export the list to XML, CSV, HTML, or PDF. Let's assume I wanted the list in Excel. I can select the CSV option. I select the columns I would like to export, and I can organize and arrange them as I previously explained in the Choosing Columns view. Next, I select where I would like to save the file, and lastly, I select Export. The file is created, and we can then open it in Excel like this. The next folder is the Bookings folder. This contains 3 entries: Bookings, Booking List, and Trip Schedule. The Bookings entry is a document queue of all the bookings you have issued to your clients. The Bookings List is the list view of all the bookings between you and your clients. The Trip Schedule is the trips you have scheduled with carriers or the bookings between you and the actual carrier. For example, you can call a carrier and place a booking for an upcoming voyage or flight. You can log that booking as a trip in Magaya and then issue bookings to your customers based on that trip. We cover this in detail in a separate video called Using Bookings in Magaya. The next folder is the Warehousing folder. Here you have the Pickup Orders document view, Pickup Orders list view, Warehouse Receipt document view, Warehouse Receipt list view, and the Commodity list view. The Commodity list view would be a list of all commodities or boxes in your warehouse. In the Warehouse list view, they are grouped by warehouse receipt, and the Commodity list view, they are shown by box or commodity. For example, here I can see a list of all the boxes for one client, not grouped by warehouse receipt. From here, I can also build many useful reports that we cover in later videos. Next is the Cargo Release document view and the Cargo Release list view. Cargo releases can be used to release cargo from your warehouse that is not being shipped either air, ocean, or ground, or for distribution or delivery purposes, when a ground bill of lading is not required. The Package Types folder comes preloaded with all the common package types in the industry. Here you can add or modify these to meet your needs. The Locations entry is where you define physical locations in your warehouse, such as racks, bins, and so on. In our supply chain and WMS products, these are defined and barcoded in great detail for ease of use with our Magaya mobile solution. The inventory item definition is used to define part numbers that you may receive for customers. This is also covered in detail in later videos. The Commodity Classifications folder contains all the Schedule B codes required for AAES, and in the Actions button you can find all the export codes and license type codes also used for AES. We cover in detail how easy it is to file the EEI with Magaya in our video called Sending SEDs with the Magaya Cargo System. The Shipment List folder contains all the shipments in a list view that have been created by your company. This allows you to view all the shipments in one location and also generate predefined reports or custom reports to meet your needs. Some common reports are shipment or container reports by consignee or port of destination. The Workload folder provides you with a list of all shipments that are currently being processed and are not in transit, at destination, or delivered. The In-Transit folder provides you with a list of all shipments that are currently in transit. The Maintenance folder contains common entries such as carriers, forwarding agents, warehouse providers, vendors, salespersons, contacts, employees, ports, countries, and the Configuration folder. We will cover all of these in detail in our later videos. The important thing to note here is any items you enter with the Startup Wizard are saved in these folders. In addition, any entry you create along the shipping process is also saved here. For example, if you are creating a new warehouse receipt and then need to create a new shipper on the fly, once you create that shipper, it will be saved in the Customer's Entry folder under Maintenance. The Accounting folder contains all the folders related to accounting. Our accounting solution comes completely integrated with our Magaya solutions. This provides you with accurate information, faster billing, and eliminates data re-entry. The first two folders are the Chart of Accounts and Items and Services. Magaya comes preloaded with an industry common Chart of Accounts and Items and Services. You can use the one we provide or modify it to meet your needs. The Accounting folder also contains a subfolder called Rates. In here, you will find a folder for standard client rates, where you can predefine all your rates for new customers whom you have not negotiated a rate with. Client rates will provide you with a list of all the rates you have negotiated with clients and have built into their profile. If a customer has a rate in their profile, the system will use that instead of the rate defined in the standard client rates. The Carrier Rates folder contains all of your rates that you have established with carriers and a very useful tool to query these rates. The next two folders are for contracts, your client contracts and carrier contracts. This is our unique contract and rate management system that allows you to load your carrier contracts very easily and manage all of your addendums or GRIs in a very easy and efficient way. Moving along in the Accounting folder is the Invoice folder or Accounts Receivables folder, where invoices are presented in actual format, and the Invoice List folder. Next is the Bills folder and Bills List folder. These are your accounts payable entries. Next is the Payments and Payments List folder. This is where you process payments you have received from your customers. Next is the Deposits and Deposits List entry. This is used to deposit payments you have received from your customers into your bank account. Lastly is the Checks and Checks List folder, where you can issue checks to pay your bills or other common expenses. One thing to note here is Magaya will print your checks for you as well in laser format or pre-printed forms. The next folder is the Outgoing Shipments folder. This is where you create and store all of your outgoing shipments. Think of this as a filing cabinet where you would store your shipments in real life. You can organize them however you like. One very common way is to create a folder for the year, within that a folder for the type of operation like air or ocean, and within that a folder for each month. It's important to know you do not need to remember where you stored a shipment. You can easily find one with any information you have, such as airway bill number, shipper, consignee, or any other information you can use. Once you search for it in Magaya, Magaya will open the folder for you and take you right to the shipment, and you have all the documentation for that shipment at your fingertips. I will demonstrate this now. Let's suppose I need to find a shipment for Crystal Gross. I can search for her by name and also date range. Once I find the shipment, I can select Go To, and as you can see, the system has opened the folder for me, and I have all the information right here quickly and easily. The next folder is the Incoming Shipments folder. This is used the same way as the Outgoing Shipments folder, but it also contains an entry where my shipments I receive electronically from other Magaya users is stored. We covered this in another video called Sending and Receiving Shipments to Agents Using the Magaya Network. Lastly is the Miscellaneous folder. This can be used to store anything you may like. For example, in my demo system, I created a folder for Word documents and Excel documents. Here I keep commonly used Word and Excel documents. If you select a Word or Excel document in Magaya, that program is launched from within Magaya. You can also copy a document into a shipment as well, and it will be available for your customer online using our very own Live Track feature. This concludes our video, Magaya Explorer Overview, Part 1.